someone also joining us, Jit. So
Hello.
thanks. Hello, Jit. Thanks for joining us. So I have just started the session. Quick round of introduction on the speaker, but before that, for those of you here who are here, please use the chat to introduce yourself, your name, where you're from. Yeah. I'm proud to introduce you all to Harry Wade, the speaker for today's session. I met him recently while connecting over a job opportunity, and he offered to speak with us on this meetup. Yeah, Harry has more than a decade of experience as a recruitment consultant, and he's been with an organization called Ignite. He is with Ignite for almost 9 years now, and has been with Robert Walters. You guys all know, big name. So he's got about a decade of experience, and he's been you've been a strong generalist recruiter, from what I understood, what I learned about you, and you're also passionate about IT infrastructure and the network space, aren't you?
Yeah, that's it. Generalist in terms of technology, IT
Yeah.
generalist, but yeah, same.
And that's exactly how I met you. So just to let you know, pre-COVID, Harry used to run the CV, resume, and job search workshops. And after a long gap, almost a year, is back to doing what he does best, helping job seekers, right? So the agenda for the day is Harry will go through his presentation, and then we'll open up the group for questions and answers, and that's going to take the majority of the time for you, right? Over to you, Harry.
Perfect. Thanks, Vijesh, and thanks everyone for having me. I was saying earlier, I really enjoy coming and giving these kind of presentations, because it's a nice way for us in the recruitment industry to kind of give back. I think we feel like we're always trying to fulfill roles rather than help job seekers, and that's just the commercial reality of what we agency recruiters do at the end of the day. So it's really nice to kind of occasionally get the opportunity to do this. And yeah, as Vijesh says, very much I'm just going to don't want to take too much of your time, because obviously we've all got things to do this evening. But it's just to kind of give you maybe 20 or so minutes worth of content, and then allow the rest of the time for you guys to ask any questions, because I usually find that there's this sort of stuff creates a lot of questions. There's nothing too complex about what I run through, but it really kind of fires up questions around in terms of people sort of changing careers, or being able to just sort of get noticed in terms of when the job seeking, etc. So yeah, so I'll move on to my first slide. Okay, we'll click. There we go. Can everybody see that introduction? Cool. So really, the just going over looking at Vic and the job market and industry trends, really with an IT sort of focus. So really just looking at as an example, but I tend to use examples where I'm referring to outside of technology, to other areas of business as well, but just to give us a bit of context. COVID normal. So obviously we forget that here in Australia we've still got this pandemic going on outside our borders, right? So COVID's changed a lot. So I've themed really tonight around just keeping that in mind, and about how that's affected sort of job search and ways of working, and how we put together the CV. Looking at ways to optimize LinkedIn briefly. Virtual interview, right? Doesn't actually change too much from meeting people face to face, but just some hints and tips around that. And then finally, looking at the questions. All right. So really wanted to just chat briefly about how the virus has affected, I suppose, the demand is just in the IT sector, anyway, to start off with. Obviously got a huge global talent shortage for IT. Areas like security and big ones, obviously, government, etc., have ramped up a lot of spending to kind of curb the setbacks we've had, and we're seeing a lot of trends. There's a lot of areas, obviously, outside technology that are really struggling, but then there's also a lot of areas within technology that are struggling as well, project services and those side of things. Whereas, obviously, the areas like online and digital have had a real massive uptick as people go online and shop, etc. And that's kind of continued even as we've had all the shops opening over here as well. Digital transformation, seeing a lot of government, even doing work up in Darwin at the moment. Big government transformations taking place online in terms of digital services, e-commerce, as I've mentioned. Automation and AI technology continues to optimize cost efficiencies. So I was just about to post a DevOps a DevOps engineer for those outside of IT. It's kind of like that a link between people developing software and those actually operationalizing it and pushing it into production where people can see it, and automating. So sort of streamlining. So I was about to push one of those jobs up as well. So yeah, investment in automation, and AI, and business intelligence and those sort of things. Making machines that think and machines that learn. We call them machine learning. So and obviously data as part of that as well. So yeah, those are some of the ideas, the things that are driving demand especially looking at it from a technology context. Industries driving demand for IT talent, as I've mentioned. So government, very much governments have stepped in, pushing up spending. Financial services, absolutely. I mean, we just have to look at the housing market. All the lenders are piling back in, so that's going to create a lot of need to automate a lot of the systems, a lot of the mortgage broking systems, decision-making tools, etc. And healthcare, clearly, and even as we're coming out of this, trying to push out of this pandemic, there's still demand to improve those, and obviously we've had royal commissions into aged care in this country as well. So there we've seen some of those trends. All right, and a bit across the ICT jobs market overview. So as you can see there, a lot of these areas, when we say difficult to source, i.e. companies and recruiters finding those roles difficult to find. Consultants, engineers, security, architects. Whereas as we work down here, network systems administration, starting to become it's a bit more moderate, just because it's a role where there's a fair bit of talent, and as we come down here, help desk, yeah, a little bit easier for us. So that's just looking at technology perspective. That's gives you an idea of how easy it is for us to find people. All right, and as we're coming out, agile work, definitely seeing shorter contracts coming up. We saw some of this before COVID hit as well. It's just a lot of companies are looking at ways of staying agile, and one of those is having short contracts, which aren't that necessarily that popular in the workforce. But the reality is that I suppose during COVID, during the lockdowns, obviously there's less work. As we come out of that, there's still, I suppose, companies are still trying to favour and lean towards shorter contracts, but it's becoming more and more difficult because the market is definitely becoming a candidate focused market, where there's really fewer skilled candidates versus jobs. So that's starting to become, I suppose, this bit of pressure there as companies are able to having to fight more for highly skilled contractors and highly skilled professionals. Remote working, yeah, it definitely still lingering. There are a lot of companies who are trying to really push more presence back in the office. They obviously got a lot of people have got expensive rental leases still running, and they can't necessarily get out of them very easily. So there's that push. There's also, I suppose, as humans, our behaviors tend to switch back to that which we were used to, right? So our team leaders were sort of used to having that visibility over us. They want it back. Not all of them, but some of them. So there's a little bit of pressure on that as well. Versus, what, you have to be at home? Can't you come into the office a couple of days a week? So it's kind of, some of the norms of human behavior maybe are starting to creep back a bit. But I think we're finding a balance. So it's very interesting. Flexibility, increased demand for flexibility for employees. Yeah, absolutely. I think. I think if companies are going to be able to give some flexibility in terms of work from home, then there has to be a bit of flex in terms of what employees can do as well. And there we go. Yeah, borders are still closed, so that's putting pressure on the market in terms of, especially when it comes to security cleared professionals. Obviously, they're being fought over a little bit because nobody else can come in to fill roles where the security clearance isn't required. Market uncertainty, potential outbreaks could impact hiring. Look, there's still a risk. It's becoming less and less every day, but I think people still have it in the back of their minds. So there we go. Some trends. Right, talking about CVs. Just out of interest, I don't know if people can make comments, or I just had a question about what people think a CV actually is. Obviously, we know what it stands for, the Latin, or obviously resume is used a lot these days. I know if people can comment. I'm just wondering if I can open my comments and see if they're still flying in.
Chat system is just heating up. They're just introducing, so we'll get there.
What do we got?
As of now, it's just everyone's introduced themselves. Chuck mentioned about he's moved from Boulder, Colorado to Melbourne. AJ is currently pursuing his bachelor's in cybersecurity, and Jit is in the IT space for quite 15 years approximately. Yeah.
Cool. Any ideas about, or any suggestions as to what a CV is? Any definitions? If we open up to the floor through the chat.
My understanding is it's curriculum vitae, and it's your entire career history.
Yeah.
In detail.
That's it.
Yeah. And resume is the shorter version of that.
Yeah. Any other suggestions? Sorry, I just can't see the chat. Oh, here we go. Sorry, came up now. Yeah, curriculum vitae. Cool. Yeah, I'd say the same thing. It's like I suppose it's a sort of snapshot of your career to date. Yeah, snapshot of your experience. It's also it's almost like a passport, right? It kind of gets you from A to B. Helps to get you where you're going. Yeah, fantastic. No, just interested in background including skills. Just interested to see what people's thoughts are. I think the best way to look at the CV is try and keep it neat, try and keep it easy to read and not condensed. CVs like fashion, right? It's if you look at a CV 30 years ago, they tend to be just absolutely chocker with detail, very condensed, go on for pages and pages and pages. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have a certain amount of detail, absolutely not, and especially if when you've got 20 years of experience, you need to be able to demonstrate what you've been doing. But it's really sort of the fashion does obviously trends do change. Try and kind of keep in line with what the modern document looks like. Try and treat it like it's fine dining. If it looks, the idea is if it looks good, it's going to probably taste good. And if you look at, and it seems like a silly analogy, I know, but if you look at, you know, your Heston Blumenthal or any of the kind of Gordon Ramsay, or you know, any celebrity chefs or Jamie Oliver. Generally speaking, if you look at a dish of food that's kind of come from that kind of, you know, it's presented with nouvelle cuisine, they look pretty amazing. They spend time to make them look amazing, and chances are that they look amazing. They'll taste good. Not always, but it's the same thing with the CV. If it looks good, it's neatly presented. Your potential employer is going to look at it and go, "Ooh, this looks good," and it's gonna, you know, this person's probably going to be half decent too. I think there's a lot of truth to that. Don't use your full address. Suburb is sufficient. I think this is, it's just a balance, I suppose, of trying to keep some privacy as well. I know a lot of people put the full address. Sometimes you don't know where the CV is going to end up. It's just a thought, or it's just a bit of a security measure for you, and it also keeps it more concise and neater. Right, clearly state you have a laptop and can work from home. Sometimes that's quite useful, especially if coming out of a pandemic, where some companies, you know, still do sort of either have managers or have teams that have preference to work from home, right? So it can be a useful one as well. Use key achievements to set yourself apart. Right, suggested a new process that reduced cost by 20%. These are little sort of bullet, you know, tick points you can actually put into the descriptions under each job, and it just you're trying to set yourself apart, make yourself stick out a little bit from the rest of the crowd, and okay, the rest of the other job seekers you're competing against. So could be any of these, you know, identified a better product that saved 35,000 in software licensing fees. Try and quantify it a bit. It doesn't have to be an exact figure. It could be an approximate saving, or approximate value. You know, keep it quite, you know, keep it conservative, but it just helps to kind of just define a particular achievement. Commendation from a key client leading to additional new business. Could be something like that. Could be even employee of the month. You know, it's just cheesy as that sounds. You know, the little things that you're proud of that you think you may not have initially thought of when you put the CV together. So, oh well, I'd help this person with a project, but I was just doing it. Yeah, like a couple of hours later in the day or something. All these little things that you don't necessarily think of that weren't part of the official job description. I know a lot of people just they like to take their official job description and actually paste it straight into the CV and say, just keep it all official. But try and think outside the box. All right, skills and experience. Make sure you mention all the tools you've used and demonstrate how you've applied them at work. This is important as well, because a lot of people, I find, when they put the CV together, they might just put the sort of key ones, and they may not even go into depth to actually describe how they've applied those key tools or key techniques, and it kind of defeats the purpose of really having the CV, because the idea is you need to demonstrate that you can apply particular skills, tools, techniques. And obviously, it doesn't just apply to technology, IT roles, but to any role. You need to try and give. They don't have to be very, very long examples, but just if you're going to put a particular skill down on the CV, you need to try and demonstrate the use of that skill or that tool. That's a really important point. Right, here's a little example. Here's me. there's my number. So it's Harry Wade. There's my number. There's my email. Put my LinkedIn profile will be under there as well. Melbourne-based, own laptop and fully set up to work from home or office is required. That's obviously a caption where it's it's still coming sort of kind of that sort of just trying to keep in mind as of those potential pandemic outbreaks and things like that. But it's but yeah, as we kind of progress further and further and through the pandemic, then there's something we might be able, we can delete. But it's just an example of what I was mentioning earlier. Profile: IT network engineer with 6 years of experience, principally deploying to Juniper network solutions. It's very just quite short. Doesn't need to be too long. I'm just explaining explaining my kind of core value add. Trying to keep it quite short in that respect. Not dragging on too long to talk about, I want to hit objectives, smash company goals. I don't think there's much need to, because it doesn't really set you apart from the crowd, because everybody puts that on. Try and just keep it short and sweet, and let the detail in the CV do the talking. Cool. Now, next thing I like to preach or suggest to for people's CVs is this thing called a career summary. I see a lot of people have adopted it. It's a very simple tool. It's just a table that you put on the first page of the CV, on the cover page, and it just quickly lists the last, could be 5, could be 10, could be 15, could be an entire career's worth of roles and positions. And you just have 3 columns: employer, role, dates. You can mix the order around. You could put your employer on the right, dates on the left. But generally speaking, this is how most people prefer to have it. And the idea of this is it's a very quick digest. It's a very quick snapshot to show somebody, right, this is who I was working for, what I was doing, and how long I was doing it for. And the power in that is that a lot of the potential employers you approach, see, they have experience in your field, or they'll know of, and they'll know their competitors and firms who do similar things, and they can instantly connect in their mind your potential value add from just looking at that information. Oh, you worked there and you did that and you did it for that long. Oh, that must have been that particular project. Maybe you knew John. I might just call John or reach out to, and suddenly a person can connect quite quickly in terms and see the potential linkages and things, and the skills that you might have that you may have forgotten to put on your CV, because you think, so you were in that environment. I knew that team, or I knew of that team, or I'd contracted through that group, or I'd used that particular company for services. Now, there is a downside, and I think it's very minor. If the potential employer knows the area really well, they might take a quick look at that and go, yeah, really interesting profile, but I know what sort of environment some of those firms be. It's probably not quite the right fit for my team, and that's fine, because hey, it's a no, but it gets it out of the way, so they don't drag you through 3 or 4 rounds of interview, and say to you at the end, well, yeah, look, it's kind of what I thought before we brought you in for interview. Actually, I didn't think it was quite the right mix of experience, but thanks very much. So it's a curse and a blessing, that stage. I think there's a far more value from having a tool like that. It's not for everybody. For example, if you're a graduate, you don't have all the experience to put into this little career summary, but for a lot of people, it's quite a useful thing to do. And I'm sure a lot of people already have one of these in the front of the CV. There's no point in putting it on page 3 or 4. It really needs to be on the first page if you're going to use it. And it's a very quick way of just digesting and and shooting those elements of your career forward so they can get recognized. And technical skills, work experience, education, hobbies, etc. Don't be afraid to put hobbies at the end. I think there's you get mixed opinions when you're talking to recruiters and hiring managers about this. It just don't go on and on about hobbies. But you know, it's nice to have a sort of a bit of a personal touch in the document as well. I'd probably put it in this sort of order. So have technical skills, have the work experience, have the career summary before that if you're going to use it, and obviously the front page you've got the caption with the summary you saw on the last slide. Education, most times, unless you're going for an academic role or if you're a graduate and that's going to be your focus, then you'd have education right at the front almost. Absolutely, just push it back to the end. You know, it's something that they're really interested in, where you've worked, your experience, what you've applied, obviously how you've applied it, how you've demonstrated it. So the body of the sorry, can you see my cursor now? Does that come up for yep, around work experience?
Yeah, we can see.
That's good. Yeah. So work experience, I think, is the real core, because that really shows you can really demonstrate how you've applied skills in each role. Awesome. All right, moving on to tips to optimize LinkedIn. Has anybody not got a LinkedIn account? If you want to chat, wave. Everybody's got one? Yep. Awesome. Yeah. Look, really good tool. As probably you've all realized. I think especially if you're looking for work, it is a very good tool to be able to kind of quickly network, share ideas, really sort of brand yourself and create a bit of an image. Try and keep the profile consistent with your CV where possible. I know that some people have a couple of different CVs, and that's fine as well. You have situations where your skill set allows you to kind of craft to maybe 2 or 3. I knew somebody with 3 different CVs, and they worked very well because he knew the market well. He knew how his skills applied to the market. He was able to, as an IT architect, he was able to apply it to enterprise architecture, cloud architecture, infrastructure architecture, because there's a lot of linkage, and all you have to do is really just tweak the summary, and off you go. So, but where possible, try and keep your profile consistent with the CV, because obviously, if you push the boat out too far, it's just going to, what's this person doing? Were they a developer or an architect or a business analyst? Keep your photo professional. Yeah, try and I know there's a lot of funky, especially the technology world, a lot of funky photos out there. It's totally fine. I think it's you at the end of the day. You just have to kind of be mindful about how you're presenting yourself to the rest of the world, and what the impact of that's going to be. If you're working for yourself, you're a technologist, and you're very confident about your skill set, you can put whatever. But I think if you're a bit more junior and just trying to find your feet in a particular industry, just think twice about how people are going to perceive what photo you put on there. So it's pretty straightforward stuff. Use pertinent caption to summarize your skills. We see all sorts, especially in my neck of the woods with recruitment. We called ourselves talent ninjas and all sorts of stuff, and technologists, yeah, no different. Data guru. It's just think about, I suppose it's your personality versus how you want to be perceived. I like to keep it, just fairly sort of concise and to the point. This is what I do. This is my focus. If you look at mine, it's fairly simple. IT recruitment. I do this and that, and that's it. Try putting your number after your name. Here's a good one. If you look at my profile, I actually got my mobile number straight after my name. So I've just literally clicked into name as if I'm going to edit my name, and I put dash 0487, and it's just sitting in there. It's probably the reason why I get so many calls from double glazed salesmen, energy retailers. But I just put up with it. Because it's I'm in a people oriented business. I need to be contactable. It's totally a choice for you as a job seeker. I can tell you, it's really useful. As I was there myself, as years ago, when I was trying to find a job. If you're struggling, put your mobile number in there, even if it's just a little bit. For a little bit, you could even get a second phone if you're worried about data privacy, and then like a burner phone, as they call in the movies. Just give it a go. You'd be surprised. I think things like with LinkedIn, if not setting the privacy settings, etc., right, it's very difficult sometimes to pick up somebody's details. So I could be going through there looking for a DevOps engineer, and I need somebody with the Azure or this tool or that tool, and I found the perfect person, and I can't contact them. Where's the details? They missed out. Because then I have to send a message, and some people aren't great with, I'm myself included, not great with LinkedIn messaging, because you might wait 2 weeks. I saw it finally. Oh yeah, is that job still available? No, sorry. So just bear that in mind. It might be painful for 3 weeks. You might have to put up with somebody trying to sell you solar panels, or where you don't want them. But it might get you that extra edge. The extra, the recruiter might spot you and be able to call you straight away. Cool. So that's it's quite a useful one. Not everybody thinks of. Consider paying for LinkedIn Premium job seeker. It's not actually that much. I think last time I checked, it's about $35. Yeah. So that's an option as well. Is just maybe try upgrading it for a month or two. See if, because there are a lot of features on there that can help you. Sometimes you'll come up with a little briefcase, or it'll give you extra search, search capabilities, etc., and ways of making yourself more noticeable. So definitely explore some of those options, because it can help if you're a job seeker. All right, that's LinkedIn. Ooh. Oh yeah, sorry, I got the chat in the way. So there we go. There's my profile. All right, some helpful hints. This is quite a good. It's quite a good article. Came up right in the heart of COVID. Upskilling training, 1 billion spare hours. The idea that if we're working from home, or we're there's times where we are between roles because the pandemic's hit, and we've had, we have no other way to turn. Use that spare time, try and upskill. And I've spoken to so many candidates actually recently somebody's doing an MBA, somebody's doing the Agile and Scrum cert, somebody's working on their next security cert, their cloud certificate for Azure. All these things do help. So that was quite inspiring actually. That just try and utilize your time as best you can. I'm sure a lot of people do. Update your Seek profile helps employers find you easily. So just like LinkedIn, on Seek, you can actually have a profile there, and there are some options and things, and in terms of how you want to be viewed, and so that's very important. Seek is still really well utilized by recruitment community. It's pretty much still the number. I think that a lot of job boards will claim that they're number one, but Seek really does have a good grip on the market still. So Seek's a really powerful one. Remember, not all jobs are advertised. I think it was a statistic that came out, around 70% of roles out there actually that actually get filled are not advertised. They go through networks. So it's Jim or Jane, James or Jane or Bob or Samantha calling out to his or her team. Does anybody know anyone? Oh yes, I do. So just to bear that in mind, and try and network as much as you can. These sort of events are great because you can just quickly sort of connect with people even if it's just on an online environment. Meetups in general. Now we're coming out of the pandemic, we've got a bit more freedom. So to try and sign up and go to more meetups and face-to-face gigs where you can, press the flesh and meet people. You'd be surprised. Some of the events you can go to where there'll be small business owners or people who've just started up, and they've managed to hit sign up with the first 1 or 2 clients, and they need people, but they can't they can't necessarily afford to fork out lots of money building a small internal recruitment team, or using agency recruiter again and again. So they'll very much be like job seekers. They want to go to events and say, hey, I'm hiring, who's available, or or do you want to do an internship just for a month or something, just because I'm just getting going, but I promise you I will give you a contract very shortly. So you'd be surprised at how many connections you can make through events. Phone, online, absolutely. Treat it like a job, right? Get up at when you're job seeking, get up at early in the morning, get dressed in business attire, and treat it like a job. Sit down, get the laptop out or notepad or whatever, and have a list, and say, right, I'm going to call these 10 companies this morning, then I have a break, and I'm going to call another 10 companies, then I'm going to apply to X many jobs, because it's a numbers game. Eventually you persevere if you're at that stage of job seeking where we need to rely on those numbers. So that little tagline there: pandemic not over yet, but some trends look like they may stick. So as we were speaking earlier, working from home, there's definitely some stick there. Not in all cases, but I think it has changed us in the longer term, enabled by technology. So been a massive demand for skilled technologists to keep up with all the online activity. All right, thanks for listening. Any questions? Yeah, I don't know if there's any IT boffins out there, but they might recognize that little screen.
Love that show.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yes, that's one I've binge watched a couple times.
For anybody not in the clue, it's basically it's a British comedy thing called the It Crowd, and there's an Irishman there who's working in IT support, and it's just level 1, I think, answering the phones and trying to sort things out and the phone just rings and he picks it up, and all you see is hello IT. All you hear is hello IT. Have you tried turning it on? And he slams the phone down. So that's kind of example I use if just asking people, are you bored of your job? Are you over it? Are you wanting to move on? You like this guy where you just just having to kind of tell people to turn their computers on. But yeah, so apologies if anybody's kind of not in the IT world. I've kind of there's a bit of an IT slant, but I think it really kind of pays to all industries and all job professions when you just think about that process of going through your CV and thinking, how do I want this to look? How I want to present this? Is it neat enough? Who's my audience? Who am I trying to impress? So some of it's just that kind of just taking a step back and thinking, have I? Yeah, I wrote this 10 years ago. I haven't really needed to touch it, but maybe now's the time to maybe had some tweaks. And if you see that those slides there, I tried to give also the impression that CV is very modular. You should be able to kind of to pull bits out and move them around a bit, or just think of it like that. So you can kind of make changes to it fairly swiftly and adapt it. So, but it's a document that's just a living, growing beast, and it does change over time. So yeah, but no, look at any questions. Open to sticking around and answering questions if you have any.
Yeah. Hi, Harry. Thanks. I'm Chuck. I'll speak up.
Hey, Chuck.
Doesn't want to go before me. So I'm just at one of these points, and thank you for your presentation, by the way. Many of these things I've heard over the years. I have 15, 16 years of sales experience, all in technologies in the US. And then a few years ago, my wife started traveling internationally 30-40% of the time. I was done making the cold calls as part of an inside sales team. It's not really where I belong in my mind or whatnot. So I just took some time off and loved it. I've loved it. But always in the back of my mind thought, I'm a sales guy. I'll raise my hand, go get a job. She changes jobs a few months ago. It opens me back up to going out and starting something new. I feel like I have a lot to bring to the table, but I haven't had a lot of calls, a lot of connections, and COVID, whatever. I've only been at this a few months. That's the background. So I guess my question are, any specific advice after a multi-year career break, other than just being upfront, open? That's always worked for me. And to kind of, I'm open to a lot of different pivots. And recently, it goes on to a second question. So I guess I'll lay them all out there and then let you go. So yeah, first question is specific advice on a long career break. I'm considering a boot camp. I haven't written the check yet.
Yeah.
I have a finance background, love the fintech disruption, love the entrepreneurial nature of that kind of space right now.
Yeah.
And figure that I can get away from my sins because I don't have a network. I don't have a recent network. I don't have any network in Australia. And even my former managers and things like that have forgotten about me, So nothing current successes, but I've always risen to the top of every sales organization. So I'm going to go get some more technical skills. I've done some AWS certs and some Azure basic certs and got the dev environments, just playing around.
Yeah.
So my interest in this fintech thing, like flashing neon lights, right? So I guess that would be a third question: is what is yours as a recruiter? What is your view of these boot camps' validity? And then is that important? Or is the portfolio of work developed during the boot camp kind of like the more crucial thing, I guess? So yeah, long career break, your opinion on the boot camps and the pivot and portfolio importance. Of course, networking is always important. I'm a sales guy, I get that. So that's about it.
Yeah, got it. Yeah. In regards to long career break, it's always a little bit of a tough one anyway, right? Because obviously longer it goes, the more you kind of you lose that confidence as well. You think, oh gee, it's just been a while now. But I think your idea of being upfront and honest, it just works wonders, at the end of the day, because it's you can kind of pull the wool over the people's eyes and everything, and say, well, doing this, and I had a lot, because the main thing is own consultancy. That's a good one, which in a lot of cases it's true. People have just had their own gig, and they've had good days, bad days over a few years, and then they decide, look, just had enough of it. It's kind of been enough to keep the bread on the table most days, but now I'm over it and want to get back into the market. And then people have all sorts of different reasons for, some people have gone and started a family, they've had a sick relative, they've decided to re-educate, go back to university, and then just had odd jobs, which they don't feel like are sort of relevant to what they want to do. So there's different ways. There are different ways to go about it, and best thing is, but have to have a look at your CV and have some suggestions that way. But I think being honest about it's the best way. And then I was saying earlier, it's a numbers game. Just like in sales, if you talk to enough people about your skills and experience, and I think that the more if you haven't interviewed a lot recently, the more you get back into that talking to people and presenting your skills and going through interviews. It's like anything, you know, that the whole heard of the whole 10,000 hours thing. You know, you do something for 10,000 hours, become an expert. It's very true. It's true in anything. It's true in job seeking as well. There's another guy, I forget his name, who's got LinkedIn community going, a job search, and he spent months and months as a skilled IT developer finding a role. But he played the numbers game, and it did wonders for him. So I think, yeah, it's a long career break. It's really just, yeah, I think a bit of honesty and kind of try to play to your strengths and play that numbers game. But definitely, I think best case would probably be, yeah, shoot me a CV and I can have a quick look at it. Boot camps, like I'm quite a big believer in boot camps. Obviously, there's good like anything, there's good things, good ones and bad ones. Like there's a really good real estate one I went to. I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, you pay for some of them, but it's, you know, it's like most things in life. Generally speaking, you get what you pay for. Not always, but I'd go by the recommendations. I'd just try and ask around for any, you know, any particular ones. You usually get, I think the internet kind of holds no secrets, right? Generally speaking, a lot of these things will have a lot of have a big long list of comments and recommendations, and you'll probably be able to flag the good ones and bad ones. But no, I'd probably pursue that. That sounds like a really good, especially if you've got a little bit of time on your hands.
I do.
So yeah, I think that could be a good one. And then pivots. In terms of pivots, you're thinking how to kind of carve yourself into a new career line, or
that's the thing. You know, the only thing I've really ever done in life is sell technology solutions, from telecom to Microsoft solutions to Cisco networking solutions to contact centers, and then eventually agile software and project management stuff. So a few different things in there, and in the sales environment has just changed so dramatically in the past 5 years since I've been working. You know, in terms of, yeah, anyway, I'm not getting a lot of traction there, and I was quite surprised by that in the last few months. And I've been doing the 10 applications a day and that sort of thing, and keeping myself accountable. So, like I said, I'm going to I've been doing some self certification work through LinkedIn Learning, through Code Academy, you know, a couple of years ago, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm going to put an official stamp, I think, on this boot camp in 6 months, and learn some of the new fintech tools, strategies, et cetera, including some deep Python work, which I've never really done any deep work on. So that's kind of where I'm going. But you know, all I've ever done is sell, and it's going to have to turn into somewhere where I'm not sitting in the dark basement coding algorithms, but something more on the customer facing side. But that's kind of the path that's revealed itself to me in the past.
You're finding even the sales, even for sales roles, you're getting a lot of static. Yeah,
I'm getting nothing. Yeah,
interesting. Yeah,
I've had 12 conversations in 4 months. I would expect a lot more than that.
Yeah, definitely in sales space. Yeah.
So and anyway, but that's anyway, that's maybe offline conversation. I'll definitely fire off the CV. I'm not sure if the topic's interesting for everyone.
Yeah, no worries. It's but I think you're kind of hitting on the sort of the right tones there. It's and then, you know, with going from sort of sales into trying to get something more into technology is, you know, a lot of people have done that. You'd be surprised, I think, in some cases how quick the turnaround can be. You know, hey, if you can get skilled into Python, you know, that's an area where there's a big demand at the moment. So you know, there'll be a lot of instances where, you know, companies or projects, they're looking for somebody like yourself who's good with people. You know, they've got that sort of sales background, but can also got an idea about the technology as well. I think it could be a real could be a real winner. So
That's
I'd
encouraging.
encourage you. Yeah, no, definitely encourage you to kind of continue. But yeah, do shoot me your. I'll try and share my. Well, you've got my mobile number on my LinkedIn anyway. But yeah, I'll try and share my email to everybody afterwards, and you can shoot me the details. I can try and help. Cool. Hope that helps. But yeah, definitely network. As you said, you know all about that. So
Yeah, no, they locked me down all last year, and I finally had a chance to go and build something again in, say, July, August, when we decided to stick around here for a little while rather than move back to the States. So I've got a few more years on the visa, and I've been looking for contract positions, short term. I was open to all, right? So anyway, I'm gonna figure out what's not been going right, but this seems like a valid path, and it's interesting. It's got me excited.
No worries, good stuff. Cool. Anybody else? Got about 5 more minutes, haven't we? I'm mindful of people's time. Don't want to push everybody past 7 o'clock, but
Yeah, can I go? Jeet here.
Yeah, sure. Hi, Jeet.
Hey, Harry. Hello. Thank you, Harry, for taking the time off and briefing all of us. Sort of understood a lot of things from a recruiter's point of view. And thank you, Vijesh, and whoever has helped set up this meeting. So with me, it's a slightly different case. I've been working in the IT industry for the last 15 years. Worked in India, Bangalore for about 11 years before I moved lock, stock and barrel to Melbourne. For my luck, I came here and I gave my first interview and I got the job. I was about 4.5 years ago. So now not a great time with my company. So I have to, look for opportunities outside of my company. I've been working with the government for the last 4.5 years through a service company. Now, a lot of questions that come to my mind, hence the reason for me to sort of network and connect to people and go about things, trying to equip myself, in a way, go back to the basics. And I believe in that. I don't want to sound arrogant that I have 15 years of experience, but I just want to go back to the basics and see what is it that I have been doing wrong. So great insights on the CV. A couple of questions to you, Harry, just to clear out what my visualization of how recruiters sort of select CVs is. Is there some kind of a tool? Because a lot of my friends keep telling, you just copy the job description, put it on your CV, and I don't believe in that. That's when the recruiters have a tool, and that's when it gets picked out of the 200 odd applications that you normally get in Melbourne for a single job. That would bring it down to about 10, and then from there it's just hit or miss. You get a call, the recruiter likes you, push that CV to their hiring managers, and then if you get called, then your chances are much higher. Is that true? First question. Second question is, I have internally applied for a couple of roles, and before pre-COVID, I had applied for a couple of roles as well. So I sort of understand one differentiating factor for me here would be is go technical. I'm mostly a project manager who worked in various projects across industries, telecom, networking, Salesforce, CRM, etc. So I made a conscious effort to learn Salesforce, did Salesforce admin, Sales Cloud, whatever, but couldn't really crack any interviews. I felt over the last 15 years, I've been working with customers. So I'm either selling my services to them, convincing them, just trying to sell to them that everything is all right. I believe I have now created my own mind blocks where I'm trying to sell myself a lot. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing. And one more confusion is so much of experience that I have that a simple question that could be answered in a single liner, but I feel that's not enough, and I need to back it up with all the experience that I have and go for the kill kind of attitude in my mind. So I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I wanted some guidance around it. So yeah, a couple of these questions which are on my mind, I'm trying to find answers for, because everybody has a different opinion. Some say, it's the way to go. You have to sell yourself as a product. It's not working for me. And the other thing is about the tools that I asked you about. Copy the job description, put in a CV, you get picked. It's a couple of questions to you, Harry.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, so with the tools, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's new ones being developed all the time. That there are tools where they'll put your CV into an algorithm, and it'll spit out the ones it recommends. They tend to use them more for large volume recruitment roles, like graduate recruitment, internal recruitment, where they're looking for maybe a help desk analyst or a sort of junior developer for Microsoft for in internal, where they've got an internal recruitment function, and they have these big brands will have huge responses, versus a little old firm like Ignite, who but we got about 200 staff, so we're not a Microsoft. So yeah, absolutely there are. And I think, look, at the end of the day, that you just have to accept that it's the brave new world. There are machines working against you, to a certain extent. But there's also benefit there. They'll pick out for the right role, and really sort of I suppose to counter that, it just goes back to being able to network. The more and more you network, it's Melbourne, for example, where I am, it's a small place. Once you start meeting some of the business leads, and they'll know each other, and she'll know him and he knows her, and so the more you can get out there and network, try not to rely just on application after application. Definitely keep it going, keep the numbers flowing, but as in addition to that, try and network and think outside the box as much as you can. Just use all the tools at your disposal. And then yes, so second question, again, it comes back to, I suppose, a conversation with Chuck. It's very individual. I think people's challenges can be very individual, and it's really hard for me to say without seeing your CV. So I'd probably definitely shoot it across. But I think you're on the right track. Project management and some Salesforce exposure. It's great. If you've done anything with Marketing Cloud, might be able to help you right now. And but otherwise, yeah, shoot me the CV, because there's different ways of being able to present the data. It might just be that your CV needs a slight tweaking, and suddenly everybody will see it in a different light and go, oh, actually, yeah. It might just need a slight tweak, or it might be sending it to the wrong places, or just being able to get the attention in a different way. So hope that helps. But yeah, definitely shoot me through your CV, because I might be able to be of service.
Sure, thank you, Harry. Yeah, I'll do that. I've already sent you a LinkedIn request. So
okay, cool. Yeah.
Thanks a lot for your time and answering my questions. Appreciate it.
All right.
Hey, thanks everyone. But before you leave, just wanted to know I just want to do one thing. I'm just going to stop this recording, and it would be great if all of you can just open up your cameras. We'll just take one photo. Oh, somebody just dropped off. Great. Give me one moment. Let me just stop this recording first.